up?
Hey. Happy Sunday, everybody in podcast land and YouTube world.
Happy Sunday. Let's get
How's
it right.
everybody doing? We are coming to you live from Get Your Shit podcast. I'm broadcasting, of course, from the great state of Georgia. And Anthony Kane is broadcasting from
Detroit, Michigan.
all right. April the 12th, it's a lot going on. The world we have problems. We have some problem in this world. But I kind of wanted to start the broadcast off asking just a simple question. Where's the love? And what has happened to us as not everybody. Now, this is not everybody, but I just would like to know what's wrong in our communities that we can't find a way to try to come together, be the change that we need, and help each other and show some love. Where's the love? That's my question because I'm starting off with today. Where's the love?
Yeah, well, it's no question that we are a broken society, broken world, fallen world, and especially the African American community here in America. Um, we didn't start out right. We started out from a kidnapping and
Yes.
all the torture and terror and punishment and brutality and the cruelty. How
Hmm.
do you expect us to be loving or normal? We didn't come in normal circumstances. And granted, behind all that I just mentioned, of the conditions, of the sufferings, we still manage to still excel and do well. But we have got to change our mindset. What has not worked for us, we need to throw away or either modify and take on a new view, new vision on how to make us better. I think
Hmm.
this religion have brainwashed us to believing that this white Jesus is going to come and save us. And it's just not going to happen. Jesus wasn't white. So if we could get past that, and maybe we can start to look inwardly
Hmm.
and to make things happen for ourselves. And I'm going to say this one thing, and I sent this to you earlier, and I
Hmm.
saw this, and I haven't verified it, but it was in 19, what was it, in the 60s? Yeah, here it is. March 1969. Of course, I was just a child. It said
Hmm.
Ebony magazine had a picture
Hmm.
of a black Messiah Jesus,
Hmm.
and it was published in March of 1969 with Jesus, black Jesus on the cover. Many in the black community threatened to cancel their subscription because of that image. So if that doesn't tell you how jacked up we are, I don't know what else to say.
Well, cuz you hit it. You hit that nail right there. Yes, and I did receive that you sent to me. And it's amazing that we have to discuss or even talk about how we have some black people that just don't like being black. They just don't want to be a part of black. They don't want to have anything to do with black, and it's that and I've come to terms with that. That's fine. So what we have to do is find ways to work with the ones that actually want to see things change, and want to see future generations at least have a chance, and it's almost like that's a losing battle. Trying to worry about the ones who, it's nothing we could do. Those like Clarence Thomas nephews, nieces and nephews. You know what I'm saying, and first cousins or whatever. Those are those people. And should they be ashamed? I don't know. You know what I mean? Should they be looking in the mirror and saying to themselves, God created you in the image that He wanted you to be. Why do you have a problem with not embracing who you are? But they can go ahead on and do whatever it is they want to do because ain't nothing we can do about them. But we've got to come up with some solutions, because we've got to something's got to give.
Yeah, I agree. Well, first of all, we have got to get our psychologically balanced. We're unbalanced, we're fragmented. And the behavior of what you described and I did, it's a cognitive dissonance. There's a disconnect. I said that a couple of shows ago about our community. It's a disconnect. And so we have got to reconnect with the creator and not this religion and make ourselves whole because again there's no one else coming to do it but us. So we have got to refocus our minds out of this capitalist system. Of course, we every country or every place on the earth operate out of some type of form of capital, which is fine, but we don't need the exploitation of capitalism and building profit over people and making materialism be our main goal and fronting and promoting our ego. And that's what Dr. King spoke of, the three or four evils of society.
Right.
Materialism was one.
It
Was
was
one of
one
them.
of them. Yes. But would you say that people have checked out? Are they no longer tuned in, or they no longer care? Or I mean, have we just become so hard in our hearts to the point where it just doesn't, they just want to get up every day and go to work, pay the bills, do what they do, live their life, and everything else is blocked out?
I think there are some, but again, I think it's we not recognize in a large number of the successes, the acceleration that we made coming from slavery, the ships, to landing over here and then facing another hell. And so those stories are not being told. You see this, they want to take it out of the schools because it hurts the white people feelings. It make them feel guilty how evil and monstrous they were. Well, they might take it out of the schools, but we still have to continue the story to let our people know where we came from, where we are, where we landed, what we plan to succeed, or where we want to go. Because again, the road we're on now, it's not going to fan out well. I mean, we gotta stop looking to these celebrities with their crazy stuff and the likes of Candace Owens and those. But see, grifting, Candace Owens is a grifter, so it pays off. And white people love to see a black face to talk about the errors of our ways. And I'm not saying that we don't need our ways to be corrected.
Exactly.
But I don't need no one to come with a grift.
Right.
With a plan.
Right.
Yeah. And that was part of the reason why they say a lot of young blacks, especially men, had went over to you know who because they were sick of the quote unquote Democrats exposing our pathologies. They want to be seen in a different light. And remember, they hammered Hillary Clinton on what was that comment she made?
They're that the black young men are, what did she call them?
Well, she didn't specifically say black men. I think she was just talking about our community. But she called us something.
She had a name for them that she called them.
It was. We'll have to dig it out.
Yeah, we have to find that one. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have to do that. But because what I'm asking is like, we see everything.
Predators. I think she said predators.
That's what she said. She called the black men predators.
Yeah. Well, again, I didn't think she said specifically black men. I think she was referencing or in context to our community.
Officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994. He promised 100,000 police. We're moving in that direction, but we can see it already makes a difference. Because if we have more police interacting with people, having them on the streets, we can prevent crimes. We can prevent petty crimes from turning into something worse. But we also have to have an organized effort against gangs, just as in a previous generation we had an organized effort against the mob. We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president has asked the FBI to launch a very concerted effort against gangs everywhere.
At that time, and that was like in the 90s or something.
When everything was kind of like exploding.
Yes. And I was talking about that earlier, and what people fail to realize is because we're from the baby boom generation. And that's from 44 to 64, I think. 45, 64. Anywhere. I know you have me 63, 64. 64 was the last of it. And the thing about it is they want to say that the baby boomers didn't do anything and they messed everything up. So what I try to explain to people is that that is not true, because our fathers and mothers had good jobs. You know what I mean? They were that middle class, and they did their thing. You know what I'm saying? As far as middle class building. But what happened was when the height of the crack era, which was 82, 83, it kind of just shook the black community and just took it down. I mean, it just snatched the soul out of so many black people, with that crack era, to the point where grandparents had to raise their grandkids, and some great grandparents had to raise, the grandkids, or whatever the case may be. But it's like, can we rebuild from that? Will we ever come back from that? Or is that something that will continue just to haunt our community forever?
It's hard to say, but if we came from the slave ships and was able to succeed and excel from that, we can definitely do that from that crack era. We just got to recognize the problem, and we've got to work at solving the problem. And again, our community, we need to seek out psychiatric help,
I agree.
psychological help. We
I
are
agree.
damaged. Our image of ourselves, the self-hate, these young girls and guys call themselves the N words and the B words. Those are not words, in my view, of endearment. Those are derogatory. They bring us down, and it doesn't see us in a good light. Now, some say we took the word and changed it. Okay, if that's how you feel, but it's still a derogatory term.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
hardly see
And it's
any
still in
other
reference
race
to what we're trying to get away from.
right, but you hardly see any other race, group of people, Chinese, Koreans, Mexicans, for the most part, calling themselves derogatory words. Very rare. Or if they do it, they keep it within their community.
They keep it within their community, right?
It's
They
not
keep it within,
publicized
right,
on TV
right.
and records and videos and things of that nature.
Like it has been in our community. We don't see Asian rap songs calling their women, to be in the H. You know what I'm saying? We don't see that. But I mean, I be so filled. You know what I'm saying, with the things that are going on in the last 3 weeks here in the city of Atlanta. It's probably been maybe what, 6 or 7 little boys around the age of 6, 7, 8, 9 who have been killed. They have been killed in their communities, for negligence, for the most part, I would say, because the parents are not making sure that the guns, the weapons, or whatever are stored properly. So, and then they had the incident in one of the parks down here, Piedmont Park, where they started started like little reunions a few years ago, where they had Freaknik and 404 Day, and things of that nature. And the other day, they killed a girl in the park. I mean, I mean, what if there's anything, what can we say to one another? How can we empower each other to, want to try to jump in and do something, anything?
You just have to keep putting that message out about stop the violence, nonviolence. We need to start from home to schools, conflict resolutions, anger management, because you do have a lot of people mad and they don't know how to resolve or channel that anger. And they lash out. But I'm going to correct you a little bit. I don't think all the gun violence is necessarily the blame of the parents not locking their weapons up, because these kids can get guns anywhere. We're a sick society. This country has 330 million people, or give or take. Mm-hmm. There are more guns in this country than people. So that's a recipe for disaster. Mm-hmm. So that's where we can start to try to curb some of this gun violence, because guns have a tendency to make a coward a brave man or woman. Mm-hmm. Guns have a tendency to make you think, I ain't taking no S.H.I.T off nobody. I'll kill.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you ain't gonna be f bombing me. You ain't gonna be, and so I'm gonna shift a little bit because so what do we tell the parents? What can be done to help some of the parents?
You just still have to tell them the same message. It's a better way to live. These gun violence isn't good. Teach conflict resolution, manage their anger, seek out psychiatric help. Don't be afraid of stigma because not addressing an issue does not make it go away. So you see your child has some behavioral problems or some anger, intense anger, and you just ignore it, that's not going to make it go away. So you
Right.
have to try to see about getting this child or children into some type of anger management program, psychiatric care, so they can learn to channel that anger and hurt and frustration, hostility in another area. And sports, those who, and won't just necessarily sports, but studies have shown kids who have extracurricular activity, they tend to excel more than those who don't. Because again, that energy is harnessed up. That's a way to release it. Sports,
Right.
exercise, dancing, gym, playing an instrument, any kind of group activity, academics, the debate team, all those kind of events or auxiliaries they have. And I know
Mm-hmm.
some schools have pulled away from
Mm-hmm.
some of those, but you can
Mm-hmm.
still have them. The community still have them. We have a PAL league here, Detroit
Mm-hmm.
Police PAL League. So that's to help these young men get into basketball, baseball, football to exert some of that energy. And so they work as mentors in the process of letting them play and learn the discipline of sportsmanship.
So would you say we, in your opinion, do we have more of a individual problem more so than a community issue?
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think we're trying so hard to make it out of the rat race till we get boggled down in a lot of neglect and negativity. So if a single mom is working two minimum wage jobs trying to make ends meet, sometimes the kids may go without that adult supervision. They kind of raise themselves, and
Mhm.
the neighborhood's there for them. The neighborhood's there, and unfortunately, it won't be to necessarily teach them the right, put them on the straight and narrow. It's probably going to
That's
on that road to corruption.
Oh, because they definitely not. They're definitely not listening to anything. I mean, I'm gonna say all of them because you'll get a group that they're starting young, they're starting early. But is it fair for us to say that it's the parents' fault, it's society's fault, it's the government fault? I mean, who's to blame for um the upbringing of these children that so many of them just falling by the wayside?
But see, that's where we go wrong. We want to blame just one entity. It's all. In the
Hmm.
African proverb, it takes a village to raise your child,
Right,
to
right,
make things. So a village is more than one.
right.
That's a community. That's all. That's plural. It's not
Mhm.
singular.
Right.
So that's where we have to start. And so if you run for Congress or those various political offices, then you have to advocate for those kind of programs to help curb some of this youth violence or get scholarships money for these young children or kids or students to get access to higher learning, higher education,
Hmm.
and try to get apprenticeships, internship programs with some of these Fortune 500 companies and other small businesses, teach them how to navigate the economy, teach them how to navigate stocks, marketing, all that. And that stuff is just not taught. We want to get rich. We want the glitz and glamour from it, but we don't always know how to do it. So we thinking
Hmm.
to go down that criminal path is the way to get those things, subscribe
Right,
for those things.
right,
There
right.
is another way. You may not be a millionaire, but there are professional people, doctors, lawyers, engineers, school teachers, administrators that's living very good, very comfortable.
Mm. And you're right. There are plenty that have they have made it.
Yeah.
or they have arrived or made it, or however you would want to say. But all these are the things that I think about every day, all day. What can we do? How can we go about getting it done? Who can we reach out to? Who can we talk to? But I mean, and I feel like, it has to start in the community, but we have to speak loud enough, and we have to organize loud enough to where it'll be heard throughout our government, throughout, the system, good or bad. It will be heard if we organize it correctly. We're not outnumbered, but out organized. So I'm thinking, like, what do we do if we have to do, like, from city to city and community to community? Do we reach out to the Mexicans? Do we reach out to white people? Do we reach out to the Haitians? What would be the best route?
Well, I don't have a problem with reaching out, but I think our main focus needs to be on us because we're the most damaged. And
Okay.
so we can't get ourselves together with them. We need ourselves to get ourselves together, and then we can partnership to try to make this thing work better for all of us. But our
Mhm.
our issues are our issues because they're not the shared issue. Those people wasn't enslaved.
Mhm.
We were enslaved, and the vestiges of slavery still exist. It's still slavery here. It's just by another name. It's not cattle slavery or chattel
Mhm.
slavery, but
Mhm.
it's still slavery. We tied down economically, how our money don't circulate in our community, how we have such disdain for each other, how the healthcare systems, transportation systems are not available, poor housing. We had not too long ago, a few years back here in the city of Detroit, a young mother with her children were living in a home in the city of Detroit renting, and the floor was not stable. The baby fell through the floor and went down into the basement, and there
Mhm.
was wastewater and water in the basement to the baby drowned.
Mm.
So those are that poverty. It really shapes a lot of our actions and it's uncalled for.
Well, would you say civil rights hurt us?
It did both. It hurt and helped because again, we didn't have access to what our tax dollars was going to. So we did need to advocate for that, but we did not need to lose focus of our own communities and our own neighborhoods. But when we still had those, they came in and destroyed them. We had Black Bottom here. I don't know if the
Mhm.
blacks own the necessarily property and the real estate, but nonetheless, they did have some small business there where our black people were there congregating, communing together and sharing that money with black businesses, restaurants, bars,
Mhm.
lounges,
Mhm.
the whole
We
nine yards.
definitely had that. Yeah,
And you
we definitely had that.
in Atlanta that they came and the government came and pushed through. So the system is always fighting against us, always fighting against us. But we still got to keep
Always
fighting. We can't.
against us.
Yeah.
But I mean, but who would we? I mean, I know it's kind of like when we had knowledge and Ken a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about getting in the community and growing nonprofits, and he was saying that you have to get with the politicians. You're gonna have to build a relationship with politicians, and if you want to get anything done. But who? I mean, what? I mean, what politicians?
Well, they're the politicians that are there. Your Congress people, your city council, your county members as well. So what you have to do, in my view, you have to bring a strong a voters block. So that means with your organization, we have 5,000 members. We have 2,500 members. If you're not seeing us and talking to us, we're not going to vote for you. So
Mhm.
you're bringing some potential voters their way and they listen. And also, hopefully, with those potential voters, you also have some type of campaign contribution that you can give because that's what they listen to money.
Right,
Listen
money.
to money. So
Right.
if each member of the organization can put away $2 a month, $2 a week, $5 a month towards
Hmm.
a candidate who they want to advocate for them, then yeah,
Hmm.
we have this pot here, $5,000, $25,000. We're looking for a candidate we can give it to help meet our needs. That's what lobbyists do.
Right. Right.
That's what they do.
But in your opinion, would you say that career politicians are an issue?
Yes, career politicians can be an issue. I think some career politicians have done well, but I think they have to know when it's time to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Conyers here in Detroit, he was. It was apparent that he was slipping with senile or dementia, and he stayed in his office. The people continually voted for him. John Lewis down there, he stayed there 30, 40 years, and it wasn't much from Yase done for his community, but they still voted him in. So, yeah, those type of things. We even had John Dingell here in Michigan. He was 30, 40, almost 50 years in Congress. And, I mean, the man, he was apparently, it was clear he was slipping. And I'm not for age discrimination, but I still think at some point,
it's time to go home.
Yeah, they have to make way for the new. And if you want to contribute, you contribute on the sideline, not in the front office.
Yes, because I think that's what's happening now is that the Democrats are so set in being the nice guy. And it's okay to be nice, but sometimes you have to be nasty. You know, you have to stand 10 toes down. You know what I mean? And you have to put some demands on the table. You know what I mean? Because what has changed? What has changed without demand? You know what I mean? I get so frustrated with them. You know what I mean? When are y'all going to start rah, rah, rah? You know, and then people want to say, well, rah, rah is always not the best. Look, let me tell you something. People who are successful and they didn't get it by being naive, passive, and always, okay. They had to get in them boardrooms and do some scratching and fighting. You got to step up. I'm saying like with words. You know what I'm saying? Not no hands on slapping nobody around or anything. But you have to go in there and with some words.
Not just words though, but actions, because action speaks louder than words. So again, that's with your money. That's with your vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess
that's the actions you take.
Because Democrats are so. Republicans are gangsters. I mean, I know they're fake gangsters, but they come off as gangsters, and you know they appear to some of the people in different parts of the world as, you know, just true gangsters, you know, but I've always been a believer that gangsters move in silence. They don't have all that lip battling going on when they're trying to make some real gangster moves. You know, that has always been my thing. But sometimes there comes a time, you know, especially in politics, you have to be beating on that desk with your fist like, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to keep playing these games. We are in a crisis right now, and it's going to affect Black people more so, you know, than anybody, you know. And I understand we have some people, you know, we have a lot of Black people that have done well and successful in the music industry, in the movie industry, and directors and producers and writers, you know. You know, but what's going to happen to the ones that are not on that level?
They're just not going to make it. They're just not going to make it. I mean, again, if we do not address our own issues and our mental health and strengthen our academia, strengthen our reading ability, strengthen our literacy, strengthen our economics, spend with ourselves, move in silence, be strategic, then we're not going to make it. And if we embrace a faith, like Marcus Garvey said, then your God that you are worshiping has to look like you. It can't look like someone else, expecting them to truly understand how you feel because they're not looking like you.
That's right. That's right.
They're still doing everything. Again, we still have a high rate of poverty, unemployment, poor health, access to health, transportation, housing, the whole 9 yards. So that's what Jim Crow was. The same thing, the same as sharecroppers. They were in shacks and they had to work that land, and they got cheated, and they couldn't question the master, the overseer about it. With sharecropping, that plantation supervisor, whatever he was or she was, probably just couldn't quite whoop you physically like they did in slavery. But nonetheless, it's still the same
They
system.
still beating us down. They still
Yeah, I
beating us
mean, you
down.
look at how we really don't have a voice. The legal system works against us. Look at the differentiation with the crack cocaine versus the powder. How the white folks and the affluent people that's caught with the powder got a slap on the wrist, and the poor little young blacks or the minorities, black and brown, selling the crack, they got thrown under the jail.
Life sentences
Yeah.
for nothing, you know.
Well, it
And
wasn't for
it's
nothing.
it
Was
started
for a
out
reason.
unfair,
It
you
was for a
know.
reason, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but when I say for nothing, I'm kind of saying like it might have been, say, a dime rock of crack to 2 ounces of what this white boy have. You know what I mean? He gets 6 months and he gets 6 years for that little rock. You know, that's why I was referencing to you, like, you know, it's really nothing. But if you had a chance to make change, what would you do?
I think an exodus. I think we're fighting a losing battle with these people. They have shown us over and over and over again they do not like us. They do not want us. They don't care about us. And that's fine. It's up to us to love us, care about us, and take care of us. And that means with everything that we have, our money, our minds, our spirits, our body, everything. And start, maybe leave. See, I look at it kind of like a relationship in a sense. And that's what it is. If you are in a relationship, this man and this woman, whoever you dating or whatever it is that you're in, and it's just not working out the way you desire or hope that it would be, why stay and be unhappy and miserable?
Right. Now I totally agree with you that, because I
Especially,
am definitely not about that. I know.
well, they've shown you and told you they don't like you, or they don't want this, or they don't look at it the same way that you do. So, and they continue to do their thing, and you still put up with it. Then
But
that's something
but to
wrong
try
with
to
you.
exit out, you know, everybody can't bust that move financially,
That
you
may
know,
be
and
true.
then exit out. Where are we going? I know they
That,
say, well, Africa's Ghana said we can come over there and all that, but can we really? Because
well,
I've heard some stories where people have packed up, gone over there, and they had to come back.
well, I think what's important, you have to realize there is never going to be a utopia on planet Earth. There's never going to be this nirvana. So if we're thinking we're going to paradise, then you're foolish in your thought. Because you can't go over to another country with the American mindset, because they function and move and operate differently. So it's about, are you able to adjust or willing to adjust and adapt to your new environment? If not, then maybe you do need to bring your ass back. The other thing
Right.
is too, you have to find a place, because it's what, 80, 90 countries in the world, and you stuck on just this one? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll be 62 this year. I mean, can I just really just pack up and relocate to another country and expect to survive? You
I
know,
think
I
you
mean,
can do whatever you want to do, in spite of all odds. Excel again, back to our slave ancestors, from the slave ships, from the kidnapping from Africa, and held in a holding building or a dungeon
in the
before the
dungeon
ships came
underground.
in,
Yeah.
and then chained off to the ships, and
Right.
then in the ships uh, underground, the dock, or what they call that, under the ship. I can't
Oh
call it.
yeah, the bottom.
Right. You're crunched in together in your own waste and urine and feces, dysentery,
Yes.
rats, roaches,
Yes.
bacteria, the whole 9 yards, the long journey, seasick, vomiting. And we still survived that. Then left that, got to a slave block, half naked, half sick, looked at, microscope from the Rudy to the Tootie, all up in your business to see what you got, how much you got, what can we get out of it, because you ain't nothing but a stock breed for us, a
Right.
breeder. So
Right.
we survived that. Then you got to the plantation, and you had to survive the ass whooping, the raping, and chain, and the starvation, and the elements, the cold, sleeping on the floor. Well, the
Yes.
ground, the dirt, the
But you
ground.
know what, cuz you saying something very, 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 very important. You said we survived that. Okay, we want to say we survived that, but it was actually our ancestors, but they were cut from a different
Right.
pattern, a different material. The people now, you don't see that. You don't
But
see that.
it's that their ancestors' blood and the ancestors are still here with us to guide us. They had some kind of inner strength to go through that ordeal. So we have it too. So that's my whole point. We can still excel in whatever we put our mind to in spite of our circumstances. It's there.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
know we
I
can.
can't say because when we look at, I'm only going to go back as far as like, civil rights. When we look at how our people got out, and I would say that they would be along our grandmothers, our grandparents, and great grandparents, how they wanted to get out, and they weren't afraid. They were not scared to get out there and take those licks and the dog bites and the water hose. They weren't afraid. But now it's like these people that's the last thing they thinking about.
I don't think they're afraid. I think the focus is not prevalent to them because that was one of the commonalities we had from that. Now, because we quote unquote got some freedoms, our mind is focused here, there, everywhere, as opposed to that one or two things that they had to deal with. And of course, they were willing to die for. But these people willing to die for it too with what they do. If you go out and be a criminal, selling drugs, breaking and entering in folks' house, sticking up folks, carjacking, and all this kind of nonsense, you ain't afraid. You already know what the consequences are. Unless you're living in Iraq, you're gonna get killed, or you go into prison, or both.
Yeah, it's
So
just on a
right,
different level. Yeah, you're right.
they're
You're
not
exactly.
afraid. So it's about focusing in, uh, shifting their brain to focus in a positive than a negative, because we still can excel. We still can excel in whatever we put our mind to.
Okay. And cause you and I, we didn't get into the married and the having kids or anything, of that nature. We were fortunate enough to be able to be the aunts and, the aunt, the uncle, the great aunt, the great uncle, of our little, people running around, and the big ones and the older ones, and it's a blessing. I have to say, our family, we come from good stock. We come from, at way back generations of good stock, as far as I'm concerned. We have good people in our family. But when it comes to accountability with these children, who actually do you point the finger at?
We
Is it
just
the parent?
we
Because it
discussed
starts
this
with the
earlier.
parent.
It's all.
But where does it start?
It starts at home first. But again, it takes this village. Just like you said, the aunts, the uncles, that's a part of the village. The neighbors, part
But
of
the
the village.
village is not as strong as it was when
Who
you and I were.
cares? Who cares? You still do what you do. The rest you can't worry about, because trust me, once that seed is planted and you keep nurturing it and watering it, it'll stick with them. Now, whether they obey by it or not, it's still there, because when they ass get in trouble, that's when it comes back up into my uncle, my aunt, my mama show told me I wished I had a listened. So it's there.
All right, because we're gonna shift into we're going into getting into the short. So let's go on and talk about this war thing and this economy and the effect on the economy that it's taking on, the American citizens. I mean, I have to say that you and I have truly been fortunate and blessed enough, even through the pandemic, we have still been able to be employed, and keep our jobs by the grace of, high power. We have been able to do that. But where are we headed?
Well, me personally, I think America's on the downside to falling. No country stay forever.
Yeah.
Nothing lasts forever. It's the pyramid. You only stay on top for so long, because once you reach the top of the pyramid, there's no other place for you to go but down. So America
Okay.
is on its way down. Now, what
Mhm.
that would look like or when or how, I don't know. But I don't think it's going to continue to be what we have gotten used to or what they have sold us that it is, because it never was. It never really
Right.
was a democracy. Democracy
Right.
is democracy. And they never cared about people and talking about our values. That's just not who we are. Yes, it is. I just gave you a brief scenario about
Hmm.
slavery. This is who they
Right.
are. This
Right.
is who they
That's
always
fair.
have. Yeah.
Hmm.
So again, I don't know, but this war, well, again, I'm against war. I think you only go to war
Right.
when you absolutely have to.
Right.
But this
Hmm.
war is not good.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, it's spending billions and billions of dollars
Hmm.
that money can be used to utilize to help the people here and overcome some of these dire conditions that we have and create
Hmm.
jobs and also college tuition reimbursement as well as scholarships to go to college. So there's many, many things that could have done, but that's not what they want to do.
Hmm.
You can't.
Do you believe that we are in sovereignty?
No, no.
Mhm.
America's been in debt for years. Ronald Reagan started that debt. And if you recall, that's when this big credit card boom started to happen. Credit card wasn't growing up, it wasn't the main
Mhm.
thing. It was
Mhm.
cash or layaway. It wasn't credit cards.
It definitely was layaway. We definitely used the layaway plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So since this credit card, so credit is borrowing or money that you don't have. Somebody
Right.
gave you some money to you can use, but you got to pay it back with the interest. So
And do
that
you think America is in bankrupt?
I think it's heading. I think it's
Mhm.
heading. They say we have what 4, 5, 6 trillion dollar deficit. Someday you got to pay who you owe.
You got to pay who you own.
Yeah,
Got
some
to
shape
definitely got
or
to pay who
form.
you own. You're right about that because they can't keep going on the way they're going. But it's probably going to end up being an episode where the billionaires jump on their jets and fly away, and all the rest of us just left here ass out.
Yeah, but that might be a good thing because they assed up everything because of their greed.
And then give the country a chance to rebuild and be better.
Don't you know in gardening, you have to redig that soil and turn it
Yeah,
and move it around. I don't know the gardening terminology for it. And
right,
then you have to put some fertilizer down or some manure to
right.
enrich it again so it can build up a better crop. That's the same thing with this country.
Yeah. Oh, you said that so perfectly. You really did. You have to, and that's it needs to. We can build it, rebuild it, build it up, and it. I just want it to be better for the future generations. I know, I won't be here. Well, I can't say that, but I mean, maybe I have 20, 25 more years in front of me. That'd be great. But I would definitely like to see some type of change for the better, and more so in our communities. But I would like to see people who really care and want to get out here and get a bullhorn or whatever it takes to try to turn this thing around. I mean, we see that our government they're just putting us in a hole.
Yeah, again, you always have to remain optimistic. You can't necessarily, because you can't change people. You can't control what happens to you, but what you can control is how you process or navigate through it. And that's what we have to do. You have to reach one by one and let it go because
But
you're
that could be
not.
a long
That's
process.
okay. That's okay. Because again, America has sold us this fairy tale thinking we this Superman, Superwoman, we gonna be all, end all, save all, always come to the rescue. That's just not the way life is.
No.
It's just
And they sit up here and let a man come into this country. Well, not into the country, but let a man go into the White House who is uneducated, know nothing about government, know nothing about politics, know nothing about nothing but getting over on people. You bankrupt a casino. How stupid and dumbfounded can you possibly be?
well, they just as sick and demented as and need psychological evaluation and medication, just like our community does, because it's apparent. If he's the prime
But
example.
we have a reason because we have a reason why our community
But
need it.
they have a reason too, because they just
Greedy.
obtuse. Yeah, greedy and obtuse and hateful. Because there's a book out, it's called Dying of Whiteness. And he talks about how the white community, because of their hatred and their prejudice against black and brown people who don't look like them and other the LGBTQ, they're willing to throw it all away as long as those don't get it. And that right there is a definition of psychological
Soulless.
malnutrition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soulless. Those are soulless people to
Well,
me.
it
He's
is.
actually
Yeah, it is. So they rather tank it all and say the hell with it. But yeah, this war is really not a good thing. It's costing millions and millions of dollars, thousands of lives, and doing much structural damage, where the structural damage can be rebuilt over time, but those lives will never come back. And Donald is not a strategic thinker. He's an impulse person. So he did not think this war out, because you got to sit down and do a cost of war and an exit plan, which he did neither, because he didn't anticipate the world backlog from this assault, because that Strait of Hormuz, whatever it is, how 20% of the oil of the nation, the world's oil, go through there. The fertilizer that we use, just got to talking about,
right, to replant,
right, is a domino effect. He's not a strategic thinker. So, and plus, he's got people there that's totally incompetent, so they don't.
Well, because I don't really think he's thinking about any of it. I really think he's just a puppet out front. Because, like, he was talking about something yesterday, and he just blurted out, well, I really don't even care. You know what I'm saying? And they, they just keep asking questions. The man just told you he really don't care. He really don't care.
That might be the first time he's ever been honest in his life.
He does. When he said, he was like, I really don't care. I don't care nothing about any of that.
No, he doesn't. It's a grift. His family and him, they're getting wealthy. I heard today on the news that he's trying to take the public golf course in DC and make it his or part of the government, where they have to pay a minimum fee. Well, what's a minimum fee? And that's relative. Where you're a billionaire and these people that's making the six figures and millionaires, well, minimum fee might be good, but some may say, well, if they got that, why don't they go to their own private golf course? They don't have to. It's public. Their tax dollars still go to that too. So where they might can afford $50, $100 a month, $200 a month, the poor person can't. But the
thing about it, though, that's just another way, really, though, because if you look at it, that's just another way to try to keep the black people out.
Well, I don't think it's just so much as keep black people out, because we're not enrolling in golf like it's the last thing coming. But it's a grift. It's a grift. I saw something last week. It's this predictable markets they have. So some companies, again, always a way to make money.
Exactly.
And his son, allegedly, Don Jr., was in that, or made the bet that he would say this thing, I can't think of what it was, so many times in his speech. So he's got the inside connection with his dad. Hey, Dad, say this a million times. I'm going to get some money out of it.
Okay. I'm getting money out of it, right? I mean, they even did a meme, a little meme went around the other day where Byron turned 20 and now he has his own business. He's starting his own, company or whatever. But then you want to start a draft between 18 to 25. Is Byron going?
Probably not. But the fact is, though, back to this war, he just not a strategic person. And also, people are not aware of what's going on. When he first got into office, he pulled us out of that agreement with Iran.
Yes.
And so all hell broke loose from that point. But it was reported that he would always ask, I shouldn't say always, but would ask, what did Obama do? And so what Obama did, he did the reverse.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So you can't govern like that. That's
because President Obama put in a deal with Iran that was supposed to be like a 20-year span. When he got in the first time, you're right. When he got in the first time, they said he took the contract and just shredded it. I mean,
when he thinks he's the great negotiator, he said he could get a better deal, which we see he didn't. And I saw this afternoon, that they have not come to agreement because his VP is over there and his son-in-law negotiating. So they're on their way back home, but no deal was there. So again, he's not smart. He's just not a smart guy. He's
Do
a
you
grifter.
think he'll make it 2 more years?
Don't know. I really don't care. We're stuck with whatever this shit we in.
So you don't think impeachment would even be put on the table, or
He's not gonna get impeached.
he's not gonna get impeached?
He's not gonna get impeached.
All right, cuz. Well, you guys, we're coming to a close on this Sunday afternoon. As always, it's a pleasure to be on with my cousin Anthony, that lives in Detroit. But we've been around each other all our lives. You know what I'm saying? Even growing up in Memphis, his family would come to Memphis, and we have always had a relationship. Like I said, we have a good family. You know what I'm saying? We come from some really, really, really good stock. But guys, reach out to us. You can go to the website, getyourshit.com. You can always reach out to us individually. And Shakara should be back on with us next week.
Yeah,
I know they're like,
oh, birthday this week.
Yes, she was celebrating. Her birthday was on Friday.
Out enjoying her birthday weekend.
Exactly. And you know how I am. I love my birthdays. I love all my birthdays. Anybody should be able to, love your birthday. That's the day that was given to you to come to earth. And sometimes I'll be like, I wish I knew when I was going to leave so I could do some things. But man, I may not want to know that. As well. But it has been great as always with you, cuz. And you have any last words that you would like to say, and inspiration that you would like to give to the people?
Say, keep hope alive, like Jesse Jackson used to say. And I had said a few shows back that we are the originators of AI, our ancestral intelligence. Stay connected to your ancestors, the creator. They will guide you and help you along the way. These people with their falseness are not the ones. The proof is in the pudding. Believe it in this crap that they have bestowed on us all these years. Where have it gotten us? So look to that higher power and rely on your ancestors, because again, that passageway from slavery to here was astonishing, and yet we still rise, like Maya Angelou. Yet we still rise. So we still rise.
Yes. And please, 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 people, please find the love. We've got to find the love. Like Anthony said earlier. We have got to find a way to come together on the real, on the serious. This is serious, so we have to do this. But until next time, and stay safe, stay positive. You guys stay out of trouble, and no matter what happens in your life, stay free.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Bye.